Hello, my name is Sid Parker, and today I'm going to be talking about recycling in Japan. So why exactly did this topic interest me? Well, one of the things I'm really passionate about is Japan and its culture. I find it really interesting. And while I was doing my research, I found out that they don't actually have a lot of public trash cans. In fact, it's quite rare to come across one. And most people are just kind of expected to take any trash that they make throughout the day and kind of carry it on them until they can either go home and dispose of it, or if they come across like the thing pictured here in the background, just kind of like this waste disposal area with multiple different subsections, and then they can sort their trash out. But here in America, we just kind of expect that to be provided for us. If you go to a Walmart, you go to a Target, or any other just public area, you just are kind of expecting to be able to toss anything. Within reason, I suppose. I highly doubt Walmart is going to appreciate if you drag your old sofa onto their parking lot. But so just to start off, what exactly is recycling? Science Daily just says it's pretty much anything that you would normally throw away that you can either repurpose or just break down and make into new products. But how exactly does recycling work? So pretty much most people just think it goes from their recycling bin to the recycling plant, and bada bing, bada boom, it's turned into something new. It's a couple more steps to that, but you get the gist. As science show kind of educated me on, it gets all of your recyclables get separated into categories, and most places have just like the paper, the glass, the aluminum, the metal, and the plastic. Those are what most recycling plants do process. So how that kind of works is, so paper gets separated into like newspapers and cardboards, and then just like regular like copy paper, and these get formed into like these big bundles, and these bundles go down the conveyor belts into like this big vat of hot water. This hot water kind of breaks apart those fibers, and then it gets turned into like this pulp, where it then gets chemically treated, and that gets rid of all any like residue or just any like the ink on the paper. And then from there, you can just dry it out and then reshape it back into something more usable. So glass, kind of similar. The glass is going to get separated into like colored glass, and then also clear glass. And that's just, again, it's just going to get broken down into tiny little pieces, actually called glass cullets. And these pieces can get melted and then reblown into some new glass product. Aluminum and metal, there's like a giant magnet that comes through and pulls all the metal out, but again, it's just going to break down those, break them into smaller pieces and then just melt them down. So then we get to plastic. So, as Miller Recyclables kind of showed me, we have 7 different types of plastic, and we cannot recycle these all the same because they are made of different chemicals. So your first and your second types of plastic, universally everywhere in America, they can be recycled. Those are going to be things from like water bottles, soda bottles, like fruit containers, milk jugs, shampoo bottles, cosmetic bottles, things of that nature. Then we get to the third group of plastics, and unfortunately these cannot be recycled. These are going to be things like your plastic tubing, like kids' toys, just like thicker plastics here that you want to think of. Then we get to your 4th through 7th plastics, and it's kind of weird because there are special plants for those, but most places do not actually recycle those. Although I guess with a little bit of effort, you probably could. So again, these things just kind of include like grocery bags, bread bags, yogurt and sour cream, containers, straws, even carpets, some carpets, styrofoam, that sort of thing. And then with the last group, that is just kind of like your catch-all group, that's mostly contains things that are either not listed or like a mixture of those kinds of plastics. So how does Japan's culture and America's culture kind of differ when thinking about recycling? So we know the reduce, the reuse, and the recycle. Japan actually goes a step further and they add two more R's here, where they refuse to buy anything that cannot be recycled or not properly disposed of, or they repair it. I personally know a lot of thrifty people, so it's not like nobody in America does repair their objects when they break down, but it's just a lot more common to see in Japan. But being like the small island nation that they are, they had to get really smart about how they use their resources. And here in America, we're very blessed with a lot of land, a lot of places to dump our trash. We can just constantly dig holes, as bad as it might be for the environment. Plenty of places, if you're creative, to store trash. Japan does not have that luxury. So what they do most of the time is they do incinerate any of the trash that they cannot either recycle or reuse. So, but there's definitely a process to their recycling and waste management. So as you can kind of see from that picture here, that is a schedule of who comes when to pick up their trash. So with like their combustibles, it's usually going to be 2 to 3 times a week. They're non-combustibles. It's only going to be once or twice a month. So you do have to be like careful with what you buy. Recyclables, that comes 1 to 2 times a week. And then like their large size garbage, that's usually up to like the resident to dispose of. And so compared to America, where I know my trash only gets picked up once a week, and then our recyclables, if you do have recycling at where you live, that only gets picked up once or twice a month if you're lucky. But again, as Real Estate Japan kind of shows us here, Japan really has to plan around their waste management. And I've heard from a bunch of different people who've come from America and ended up living in Japan about how hard it was, where they had to, again, always keep track of what they're tossing, and they had like 10 to 15 different little plastic bags that they had to, again, as shown here in this picture, like they'll have to put their bottles in a bag, their bags in a bag, packaging, cups, cushioning wraps, caps, trays, containers, the works. And these each have to go in a separate little bag. One of the things that Japan did to kind of alleviate some of this waste here was to require its residents to buy these bags. If you just have any old bag, they will not take it. So again, it's all about being really smart with what you buy and how to get rid of it. One EPA 2008 study showed that America only recycles 8.7% of our plastics, compared to, as JapanTimes.co mentions, Japan recycles 84% of their plastics. So we get back to that, a lot of Americans just do not recycle. Studies show that about 75% of the items that we use can actually be recycled, but we only do about 34% of that 75% here. So what can we do to help the environment and kind of be more like Japan with how eco-friendly they are? So founding editor of Better Living, Heather LaCorte, gives us some helpful tips here, which she mentions how you can donate to thrift stores. Here in America, unfortunately, do not recycle things smaller than a credit card, as it will jam the recycling facilities. That's one thing we could possibly improve later in life, is to be more efficient with what we can recycle. Clean and rinse your items. Again, this just helps the recycling facilities. And one thing that I found really helpful was to just have more like things around the house, little bins and places to make recycling more available to you. Like personally, I've got one right next to my couch. I've got like a little trash can right as I come through the door where I can throw in my recyclables, and then just like once a week I can just walk through the house and collect all of those bins. But thank you for watching. Really hope perhaps you learned something about recycling, and here are my references.